Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. A brief but probably uncomfortable truth when it comes to the operation of law of substantive rights, loosely now known as civil rights. There are many different types of civil rights. If whoever is listening to this has yet to realize it, there's civil rights relating to employment or labor. There's civil rights relating to federally assisted programs. There's civil rights relating to education. There's civil rights relating to rights and obligations of contract. Civil rights relating to debt and slavery. There's civil rights relating to specifically Fourth and Fifth Amendment, generally speaking. And this thing called 42 USC at TICOR, all its other sections, was initially created for the purpose of protecting so-called Black Americans, and was later then adopted and used as the body of legislature to now apply to everyone else. Meaning the original intent of 42 USC was for a specific group of people. In today's world, everyone now adopts and use it. The uncomfortable part about this, which might be for some, or which might be for none. It might be for none because there's a reasonable explanation that, well, the Constitution does apply to everyone, not just someone specific. Those who this might not be uncomfortable for them to hear this, what I'm about to say, they would have basic comprehension of how laws work. Those who might find this uncomfortable or otherwise. 42 USC that everyone uses today was specifically, very specifically, intended to protect so-called Black Americans. No different than what people do now with all these other types of rights of certain group of people, whereby they're not saying, everyone deserves certain things. That is true, everyone deserves certain things. But the one that's always serving as the pathfinder, path opener, before everyone jumps in the bandwagon and have the confidence to come and talk some smack, are always these so-called Black people. The reason is because you are the mother and father, the true founders of everything people do in this part of the world. They wait for you to speak up first, for you to suffer first, for you to clear the path first. Then they come along and reap the benefit. Yet, most so-called Black Americans are the least informed group of people. Something is wrong with that equation. Sit back and think about that. On April 20, 1871, President Ulysses S. Grant signed one of the most important civil rights laws in the United States. One of the most important. 1871 is one of them. You will see other ones in 1993, other one in 1946, etc., etc., but specific to certain engagements of human activities and commerce. President Ulysses S. Grant signed one of the most important civil rights laws in U.S. history, the Ku Klux Klan Act. Section 1 of the law, known today as 42 U.S.C. 1983, empowers individuals to sue state and local government officials who violate their federal constitutional right. This thing people now call Civil Rights Act 42 U.S.C. 1983 that you hear quite often, that you read quite often. Probably not in its deeper details of its enforcement, but nonetheless, most are familiar with 42 U.S.C. subsection 1983. The original function of it is based on the Ku Klux Klan Act, which was due to the tyranny that was being placed upon so-called Black Americans. And the first section of it, the initial portion of it that goes into what can be done and what cannot be done, is what people now know as 42 U.S.C. 1983. It empowers individuals to sue state and local government officials who violate their federal constitutional right. The law was aimed at protecting Black Americans. The law was aimed, meaning its specific goal and intent. The law was aimed at protecting Black Americans from white supremacist violence and murder in the postbellum South. Section 983 was invoked by the plaintiffs of Brown versus Board of Education, which you will usually see when it comes to 42 U.S.C. 1983, which is one of the landmarks, no different than the whole thing with Terry versus Ohio, being the foundation of Terry stops for the purpose of investigation without the need for a warrant or probable cause for search, albeit Terry stop has its own standard, test, and element, how far they can search you, the duration of it, the reason why they can begin to search you, all that. We've run over that in many other videos. Well, this thing called 42 U.S.C. 1983 specifically related to people's rights to be secured in their persons, papers, and effect, be gone by way of protecting specifically, quote, Black Americans due to the atrocities of the good old Ku Klux Klan, hence Ku Klux Klan Act. Section 1983 was invoked by plaintiff in Brown versus Board of Education, which act is one of the founding case laws, res judicata, when it comes to the rights embedded into 42 U.S.C. 1983. You can see the act cited by its date. The original document of that case was shown when they challenged school segregation 70 years ago. ACLU offices, which is an entity in their offices that are lawyers that represent people and entities. ACLU offices nationwide continues, listen to this, continues to use Section 1983 today to defend and advance the right of all people, which is exactly as it should be. This is for you who consider yourself minority or Black. You've been sleeping for far too long. You've hit that snooze button far too much. It's not cool to suffer and smile. It's not cool to lie to yourself about how the world works. Yeah, have good self-esteem and think someone depends on you, but you still have to be competent. See, the world back then compared to the world today is a bit different in the sense that the world today will hold you liable to lack of competence. Back then it was the same thing, but it was somewhat easier because the older generations still had some foundation to them. The old generation in 21st century, most of them are dead and gone. You, the young ones, are the one it's left up to. The few older generation in 21st century that still have it right, they're dying off every day. This might be a grim conversation, but it's the reality. They are leaving this thing a day at a time. You, their children, are what's left. If you don't know how this thing came to be, why you're suffering the way you're suffering today, and the importance of competence in taking your life into your own hands, the children that you give birth to might regret ever having their soul compiled into a physical body and come into this journey on this earth, on this thing we're called earth. Your life is in your own hands. Begin by making competence the priority in daily life. Remove the flare, remove the delusion, begin to learn the truth. Until next time, take care. Best of luck. I have a Patreon page and I'm inviting you to come join. Are you interested in discharge? We show everything about how it's done and my own experience. Consistent posts are made explaining many things regarding said discharge. Many will seek and simply wouldn't find. Those dealing with mortgage issue or want to know more about it, we speak of it. For those dealing with basic stuff like traffic issues, we speak about the solution and I show it from my own experiences and how I permanently prevent any such issues. Those worried about trust, different types of trust, we go over so many things consistently. Regarding trust, we show the IRS manuals. Those who are interested in suing and making money through debt collection or other means, we go over it, we show it. I show my own settlement checks and the things that I've done as a personal experience. Those interested in banking, we show subtle details and intricacies of the things that I have learned. For those interested in other things like the IRS forms and how to put it to use, we show it, explain the details. For those interested in court-related matters and intricacies, we always show it. For those interested in the spiritual aspect of things and how it works, we show and explain it. Those with child support matters, we explain and we show everything in detail also. Great puzzle pieces that can never be found in other social media platforms. But we explain it all as it relates to many different things for those interested in express trusts and the issue of how not qualifying for taxation, which I call dinking, how it relates to any other type of trust or any other affairs, and how you can intertwine your affairs into the different types of discharge that exist and lack of qualification for taxation. Speak about it. The truth about really recusing attorneys and the whole foreign agent registration and attorney lawyer number, we speak about it. Speak about how to really bring about juries, and some of the comment section asks good questions and where the answers are given. Speak about how to get and use tax exemptions for vehicle use and sales. You don't have to belong to some organization. You can actually get yours according to the language of the legislature within your state. Go over the details that a lot of people mentor about regarding Article 1, Article 3. What really makes a court? It's not limited to just your paperwork. Most people don't know. You go over business matters for those with actual businesses, S Corp, C Corp, LLCs, those who are business minded and those who make monies. Go over other things that a lot of people don't know, functions internationally. We speak about a lot of other spiritual related matters. Details on how to bring criminal charges, what it truly means to bring criminal charges, what a bill of particulars is, how to recuse a judge, details of the parliamentary rules in court and legislature, different things about standard of evidence and burden of proof, different things that a lot of people will speak of, discovery. But did you know there are 6 types of discoveries? You know how to intertwine your LLCs and S Corps with an express trust, how to not make them taxable. Do you know when Trinity versus Pagliaro really is involved? Do you know how to use your home as a home office? And the many details involved. Go over the injunction and how to enforce the different types of injunctions that exist. The intricacies of how data brokers exist and how they steal information. Not just the credit bureaus, but many data brokers, and how you can prevent them. We go over grants, getting grants. We go over issues and solutions of CPN and how they're created. There are about 6 or 4 to 5 different parts that were created. We go over caveats where people say sue them, but they don't really know. We go over the things to do after you sue them. We go over the issues of privacy and technology. All the whole thing about perfection of security interest, UCC, and how to use it and how to monetize the birth certificate, all that. We go over the details. There are a lot of principles and doctrines people don't know about that we go over. Go over how to really do the copyright and the details involved in it. Go over how to simply do a trademark. It's far more easier than you think. All these people telling you go to a trademark office, do this, write this letter. It's not that difficult. Go over how to fill out the GSA bond box at a time, and so many more. How to get settlement checks, how to put your vehicle in a trust. I show you from my own experiences, form for form, step by step. Go over the different types of relief to be granted. The type of relief you seek invokes the type of jurisdiction that you fall under. All these people speaking about chancery, equity, and law, common law. The relief that you seek is directly tied to the type of jurisdiction. Go over the CPN, how it's created. Go over how to obtain bonds, where to do it. Go over the different types of discharge and some more. We explain each of those types of discharge. We explain how trademark and copyright is affiliated with asset protection. We go over how to prove trust. We go over the different types of fraud. We go over the importance that many people will never know. So many more. I show my own experiences in the audio calls from court cases of how I get different types of settlement checks. Go over the different types of discharge. There's so much more that it can't even completely be spoken of here regarding trust. We go over how to create it step by step, and many more things that will never be shown on YouTube or any other platforms. Go over other principles that people don't know about. And they speak about statute of limitation. Well, fraud does have a statute of limitation, but do you know how to subvert it? As to why that phrase fraud has no statute of limitation to bring it to life, most people don't know. There's so many things that we speak about. We speak about how to garnish people's checks and people's property. There's a form that you use for that. People don't know about it. Speak about details regarding foreign trustees. Speak about spiritual related matters. And on the Instagram page, if you get to join, come on over. There's also a Facebook page where questions and answers are posted and other reminder links to certain videos are shown. Until next time, take care. Best of luck.